It's time now for County-Wide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join Paul David and Brad Miller as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics that affect all our lives here in Yavapai County. And now, here's today's County-Wide.
Welcome to County-Wide. I'm Paul David. Good to have you in studio with us today. Our guest today was here a couple of years ago. His name's Allan. He's with the Oak Creek Watershed Council. And if you remember back a couple of years ago, which you may not, there was the group was going to go out and try to locate the sources of E. coli contamination in Oak Creek Canyon within Oak Creek. And so Barry and his group have been at it for a couple of years now, and you've come up with a report. So we thought we'd get you back in studio to bring us up to speed. How are you?
I appreciate that, Paul. I'm doing fine. And
it's good to see you.
Happy to be back. Yeah, good to see you too.
All right, so give me kind of a rundown. When and why was the Oak Creek Watershed Council formed? Well,
it was a process was started in about 1994 by the ADEQ, and they had a fellow come up on staff and talk to people around the community, and so out of that there was it turned into a group, and then out of that it was called the Oak Creek Canyon Task Force, and so that evolved probably around 2000, and evolved into a different type of group. It just kept on kind of growing. ADEQ decided they were not going to facilitate the group anymore, and so some of us community-minded citizens stepped up to the plate and took it on a little bit further. So in 2003 we became a nonprofit, carried on with the name, but we were really focused on Oak Creek Canyon because that's where essentially most of the problems with E. coli were happening at the time. And so we changed our name in 2010 to the Oak Creek Watershed Council, and decided that there was more to our area than Oak Creek Canyon, and so we became a full watershed group. So,
now, red flag, you said back in 1994. Was the red flag at the time, and I'm not sure if I can remember doing stories back in 94 on this, but I know I have over the years where there are certain times, especially in the warm summer months, where Slide Rock State Park, you just aren't allowed to be in the water because the E. coli contamination. Maybe we should have you describe what E. coli contamination is.
Well, E. coli is actually an indicator of fecal contamination. Okay. So in itself, it's not the contamination thing, but fecal contamination is a health hazard. And what basically happens at Slide Rock is that there's some swimming holes above Slide Rock, and there are sediment comes down, E. coli settles into the sediment, people jump into the water, it just stirs up the sediment flows through Slide Rock, and bang, you have a problem. And so there's a certain toleration that ADEQ have for E. coli, a standard. But when it exceeds that standard, then they just shut it down at Slide Rock.
It becomes a major health hazard.
Because it becomes a major health hazard.
That's pretty scary. Yeah. You're out there swimming in Oak Creek, and all of a sudden,
well, it's
it's a place you wouldn't expect to have an E. coli contamination issue because it is such a pristine area. I drive through it twice a week, and I see something new every week I drive through. I love Oak Creek Canyon. But it's really sad that there are days and moments in a day where all of a sudden the water is dangerous to be in because of human and animal waste.
To the extent, I think, too, that once that passes through and they shut it down, it's already gone through. So it's kind of an after the event.
Sure.
But anyway, and so the government has basically spent millions of dollars on various little studies and grants, and the last one that was done was by Dr. Gordon Southam, who was a member of our task force, and he was a microbiologist up at NAU, and so he came to the conclusion that it was basically wild animals, animals of the forest, that were causing most of the fecal contamination. And so He also mentioned that, of course, there was the public were involved too, but that was the basis of his report. He did that through DNA testing too. Mm-hmm. So the government basically, when I say the government, I'm referring to the EPA, the Federal Environmental Protection Agency, and the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality. The EPA, through the Clean Water Act, gives ADEQ some X number of dollars on a yearly basis, and then ADEQ turns around and decides where they're going to spend that money. So they had a program when we first started out in October of 2009. They had a program that was they picked 3 watersheds in Arizona, mm-hmm. and they were targeted watersheds, and Oak Creek Watershed was one of them. So what they basically wanted to do, they were tired of spending all of this money and basically not getting any bang for the buck. And so they wanted a complete, comprehensive plan of Oak Creek, from the headwaters up in Fry's Canyon down to the confluence with the Verde River, which is about 50 miles long. Hmm. And they wanted us to develop a comprehensive plan that would isolate the problems, tell them what was wrong, and then come up with some solutions. So there were basically 2 phases to the plan.
Did you come up with those?
Yes, we have. I'm very proud to tell you that this is 168 pages of the Oak Creek Watershed Improvement Plan. It's called the OCWIP. And
public can see that, right?
Yes,
it's posted on your website?
Can. Yes, on our website.
Okay.
And at www.oakcreekwatershed.org.
Okay.
And so we have found problems. There's no smoking gun. Basically, the problems stem from wildlife, from human feces, fecal coliform from a number of areas. There's the possibility of septic tank problems, mm-hmm. and possibly even stormwater, from pollution from stormwater. But this is all in the plan, and I would urge all of your viewers to go to a website and have a look at it.
And you've got a comment period deadline of July 31st, right?
We do. Plan? Yes, okay. We do. This is a public review period. The plan was finished on June 30th, and we've designated July, the whole month of July, and we have a meeting actually in just a couple of days on Thursday at the Sedona Public Library. And we will be going over a PowerPoint presentation of the plan, and we invite the public to attend that, and that starts at 10 o'clock in the morning. So okay. Registration will be at about 9:40.
We have to take a break.
All right.
Barry Allan with the Oak Creek Watershed Council in studio today. I'm Paul David. The website is oakcreekwatershed.org. That's where you can take a look at the plan. Comment period ends on the 31st. Barry mentioned they do have a meeting coming up this Thursday at the Sedona Public Library. It starts at 10 a.m. You can get there by 9:40. Doors will open, and more will be explained at that point in time, too. Countywide is going to take a 2-minute break. We'll be right back in just a minute.
So, I just moved in with this family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that! That's disgusting! Oh, poop already! You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
I think someone at my friend's school has this thing called autism. My friend's brother's son has autism. My neighbor's son has autism. My son has autism.
Autism is getting closer to home. Today, 1 in 110 children is diagnosed with autism. That's a 600% increase in the last 20 years. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
Danse, balance, suis la cadence, ondule bien tes hanches, au bal du dimanche. Danse, que la fête commence. Dans ma belle...
You didn't give up on sex. Don't give up on birth control either. There are more methods than you think. Find yours at bedsider.org.
Welcome back to Countywide. I'm Paul David. Barry Allan with the Oak Creek Watershed Council in studio today. We're talking about Oak Creek Canyon and the plan they've developed and what they found as far as, and it's not just E. coli contamination in Oak Creek Canyon. There are a couple of problems, and the one I noticed and the one that bugs me the most is the trash, the amount of garbage that gets left behind. Oak Creek Canyon is a very busy place, especially this time of year. You know, in the wintertime, it takes me an hour to drive from Cottonwood to Flagstaff. In the summertime, it's an hour and a half. It's just bound to be because there's so many people in Oak Creek Canyon. The last couple of weeks now, I've driven past Slide Rock State Park. I noticed the sign is out front that says parking lot full. Well, that doesn't mean that people aren't still coming, because the side of the road is lined with cars for the next mile or two. So it's constantly busy. But I noticed that you guys, the Master Watershed Steward Program, 20 volunteers went out and collected 200 pounds from 3 test areas of Oak Creek, including Mormon Crossing, and these are all places I went to when I was a kid here, Mormon Crossing, Chavez Crossing, Midgley Bridge, up to Grasshopper Point. That's tremendous amount of trash in just those small little areas.
Actually, it's it's a lot of trash. I think it gets a lot more trash gets yarded out when we're not there too. And these were 3 1-mile test sections, and they're part of the Oak Creek Community Outreach Program. And just to go back a little bit, because I'd like to tell you how it all came about.
Okay.
In 2010, basically, we're about 3 months into this project, and we thought about what's going to happen at the end of the project. And we thought to ourselves, you know, we can come up with a wonderful plan like this, and we can implement BMPs, best management practices. These are the solutions to the problems. We can implement those, but what's going to happen then? If there's no maintenance program, if I can use that in italics, if there's no way of having the public help us with the trash and the litter, as you said, which incidentally indirectly does cause pollution. It's the litter and the trash attracts wild animals. The wild animals are the animals of the forest. They defecate near the creek. And that, in turn, of course, is fecal contamination.
Sure.
So we set about to attain some funding and to develop the Oak Creek Community Outreach Program. And we were fortunate that the ADEQ, they gave us a grant extension of actually a year. Our project was actually only going for 2 years, but they extended it 1 more year. And in that extra funding, we were able to get some monies for the community outreach program.
Now you've started one. You've got a restroom that you guys put up there by Indian Gardens, which is about 4 miles up from Sedona in Oak Creek.
That's true.
Okay, so you've got a restroom facility right there.
And yeah, that was a different grant too. We built that about 4 or 5 years ago, right around when the Brins Fire was happening. Actually, the Brins Fire delayed us from completing that project.
But is that one of the best management practices?
Yeah, that would be a best management practice.
Is there another one that you've installed up there?
No, we haven't since then. No, that was quite a major project for us, and we urged the public, the visitors, to use that, and it has been well used since then. It's an extremely good facility, but those are the type of facilities that we need throughout. It's a matter of the land, the property. It's a matter of the grant money and whatever monies to build facilities like that.
It's also getting people to actually do it. I mean, you've got quite a task ahead of you to try to get people who are, when you park in Oak Creek Canyon, it's a distance. We talked about this the last time you were too. It's a distance down to the creek.
Yep.
And to get somebody to go up the hill, get in their vehicle, drive to a restroom facility, drive back, park, and then, well, assuming that spot's there, and then go back and down to enjoy the creek, it's going to be a tough thing to try to accomplish.
It is. And, our goal is to try and change the attitude and behavior of the general public. And, those are lofty ideas, okay? But we have to start someplace.
Right.
And that's the reason for the community outreach program. It's going to be a comprehensive program. We've been at it now since February. It should be done by the end of August. This is community driven. The people on our task force that are developing the outreach program, we put together messages, protocols. They're all tied back into the Watershed Improvement Plan. The protocols and the messages are directed at those areas that, those, say, categories of problems that Sharon Messick-Lopez has identified as she's our primary investigator and identified in the Watershed Improvement Plan. And what I mean by that is, for instance, perhaps irrigation, perhaps erosion, so that when you get erosion on trails, then you have sediment that comes down into the creek, and that's all a problem. We need more toilet facilities, and so our messages are directed at each of those problems: litter and trash.
What are some of the ideas? Let's take that one. We've got a couple minutes before we take a break.
Sure.
Let's take just the trash in general, because that to me is just a huge issue in Oak Creek Canyon. You drive through there and you see it all over the place. How do we get people to? It seems so simple to me. You're down at the creek for the day, you brought it in an ice chest, you've got it in a picnic basket, you got it in a bag, it was in your car, whatever. But you take it down to the creek, you use it all day, and then you leave it there. How do we get people to take it from there, back up to their vehicle, down to, say, Indian Gardens? It doesn't have to be Indian Gardens. I use that just because I'm very familiar with that spot. And then you've got trash containers there. You've got a picture of somebody who left their trash next to a trash can. It's just, it's ridiculous. But I guess what I'm getting at is, I have been, give a hoot, don't pollute. Woodsy Owl has been in my life since I was old enough to talk. And we still have it today. Have you guys come up with any new ideas on how to get people to pick up their trash?
The old ideas work. Okay. The difference is that those ideas have to be put into place. So signage, there's advertising. We feel that if we can get enough people out there that know what the right thing is to do, then they will influence the people who instinctively perhaps don't know what the right thing is to do. Okay, so all we can do is try, and we can institute things like signs and containers, trash containers. We know that would help, especially up in Oak Creek Canyon. These all have problems of their own. In other words, who's going to look after them? Who's going to maintain them?
Right, and then there's the cost.
Yeah, the cost and all that. So, but that isn't something that we're shying away from. So, right out the gate, we're hoping that people will recognize Oak Creek as an outstanding watercourse. It is a designated outstanding watercourse. It has a health problem. The health problem is not going to go. It needs us all to do something about that. We've all got to chip in, and we've all got to concentrate on all those little things in life, like pick up your litter behind you. There's no reason for using the forest as a dump.
No.
There's no reason for using the creek as a bathroom. Okay, those are just natural things that a person should be thinking about. Some people that don't, they're the ones that we're targeting.
We'll take another break. I call it common sense, Barry. Barry Allan with the Oak Creek Watershed Council in the studio today. I'm Paul David. This is Countywide. We'll come back after a couple minutes with just a couple minutes left in the program. Stick around.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
I was in junior high the first time I caught my mom using denial. She had to have known her painkillers were missing because I kept stealing them. Her denial was so out of hand.
So she doesn't even know?
I'm going out.
It was like I could get away with anything.
You kids have fun.
And that was when I knew. And she was addicted to denial.
Denial is a drug. Get help. The partnership at drugfree.org.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
Now, some action from the courts. Billie Jean King renewing her rivalry with Arthritis. First set, furious volley, and right to the net for a winner. Beautiful forehand there. Arthritis, stunned. And here, match point. Billie Jean with the ace, taking it in straight sets. Afterwards, a jubilant Billie Jean King.
Tennis is a weapon for me with arthritis. There's nothing like it for me to hit a ball, run to the ball, anytime, any court. I'm ready. Let's go.
What's your weapon against arthritis? Find out at fightarthritispain.org.
Welcome back to Countywide. We've got just a couple minutes left in the program. Real quick, if you want more information about what we're talking about today and to look at the plan, it's oakcreekwatershed.org, oakcreekwatershed.org. You've got an Oak Creek Watershed Improvement Plan, which is right there in front of you, 164 pages?
Yep, about that. Yeah.
About that. And that's available at that website, so folks can take a look at it. July 31st is the deadline to make comments on that. Thank you for doing this study for 2 years in Oak Creek and getting to the bottom of some of the issues up there.
It's our pleasure.
And there's going to be a free presentation and discussion at the meeting. It's on Thursday, the day after tomorrow, Thursday, July 19th. I should say that this is going to air after July 19th. So Thursday, July 19th from 10 a.m. to noon. They can come in there and find out all kinds of information. They could probably join up with the Oak Creek Watershed if they want to.
If you wish.
And I would imagine you guys are more than happy to take as many ideas as possible that are outside of the normal box of clean up your litter. Ideas from folks. Mine is to have a little enforcement. See if we can find some enforcement, maybe some off-duty police officers that aren't working on the day of Cinco de Mayo and put them down there at Midgley Bridge, Grasshopper Point, and key locations where we know there's serious trash issues, and maybe they can write citations all day long. I don't know. But I hope for the best.
I think you're going to find that Midgley Bridge is going to be a little bit more policed in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I imagine so. I would imagine so. Barry Allan with the Oak Creek Watershed Council, thanks for coming in. It was good seeing you.
Thanks for having me in, Paul.
It's been a long time. I was telling Barry we should have him come back in once they get this terrain model done so we can take a look at that and see how that works. So we'll see if we can't get you back in studio.
Well, we'd love to do it.
All right, that's today's Countywide. Again, oakcreekwatershed.org. Check it out. I'm Paul David. That's today's Countywide. We'll talk to you again next time.